All right. Hey, how's it going? It is me, Christclark, or Jay Christclark on Twitch, as it's generally known. And yeah, so today is a very exciting day, to say the least, because we have this. We have this coming out in literally 24 minutes and counting. So I'm releasing an album today. Technically, I already did release it. It is up on Bandcamp, um, and you can actually buy it on Bandcamp right now. But if you're more of a YouTube person, or you like using like streaming sites like Spotify or like Tidal and stuff like that, at the very least, it will be up on all of those platforms soon. The earliest is going to be YouTube at this point, which will be up in the next 30 minutes. And it'll be up on Spotify and Tidal or Amazon Video or whatever you generally like to use in the next, I would say in the next, like, it usually takes 3 to 5 days, usually after I post it. And it is being posted today. So yeah, that should be up generally pretty soon. It's pretty quick about that kind of stuff. So yeah. With that being said, just give me a second here. Fancy definitely has a bit of, oh, this is fancy. I didn't know that this was gonna happen. We're legit now, boys. Um, you want to be an emo boy? Yeah, necromancy is definitely the emo boys of the world, aren't they? Edgelord. Yeah, they give the countdown timer and everything. I'm about to do this for every single release. Hot damn. Yeah, super fancy, and then literally it's gonna be you're literally like they're having all this kind of build up, and then just to think, what if there's all this build up, and what if I've been hyping this so much just for it to start, and it's literally the dumbest thing that you could possibly imagine. Like, it's literally just Kanye West, like, on loop, just going like, poop did the scoop, scoop the poop, like, that kind of nonsense. This is really legit. This actually makes me super, like, this makes me super nervous, because it's just like, if this is not good, then this will be so bad. But, so here we go. I'm gonna also talk about each track just very shortly, while I'm doing this. So the first track is the intro, which is called We All Need Rest. And generally I actually should go over the album really quickly as well. So the album itself deals with a lot of general, like, aspects of, like, depression, anxiety, issues with, like, life and stuff like that, and how that can affect you, but also to the point where, like, depending on how much you dwell on it, how much it generally affects you when it comes to your personal life, and how it affects you in, like, your dreams, and how it affects the way that you see the outside world, because then things start kind of merging together in a way. But the reason why I bring that up is because the first album is supposed to kind of have that general feeling of, like, insomnia and not really being able to sleep, but really just kind of going and doing stuff And not really being able to sleep, not really being able to rest properly, because everything is kind of scattered. Everything is generally affecting you in a certain kind of way. But the the samples that I actually use on this album, or the samples I use on this track specifically, are yep, it's definitely more drum and bass. And there's one other drum and bass song on the track, but it's at the end. But but the reason, or the samples I use in it, there's one where it actually talks about the way that dreams can actually affect your mindset and affect your ability to remember things properly, your ability to see the outside world properly, like a lack of sleep. The other sample, which is actually at the end, is a hypnotist that is putting somebody to sleep. And it leads right into the second track in a really cool way. So, yeah, I'm gonna shut up now because I'm talking a lot.
Nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one. And sleep. Very deep sleep.
Okay, so yeah, like I just put there in the YouTube chat, the second track is called Azrael. I decided to mess around with a piano loop that I made. That's when I was messing around, that I started listening to it, and I was like, it sounds really similar to Hopes and Dreams from Undertale. So I decided to mess around with it, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make like this lo-fi, like kind of Undertale influenced track. So hence the reason why it's named that. Hence the reason why it sounds like that. But yeah. Hopefully that is hopefully it's pretty cool as well. But the general the actual album as well, or at least the second track, think about it in the same way as finally being able to fall asleep, and letting yourself dream in that sense, and trying to let the like stresses and cares of the world just kind of wash over you, so you can hopefully relax. In the same way, the third track is almost like you generally waking up from that dream as well, from that sleep, from dreaming. So yeah. Also, please let me know if I'm generally talking too much during any of these tracks. I don't wanna I don't want to do anything that kind of ruins the vibe of everything, you know. So yeah. Just kind of going over this third track. The third track is called Welcome by the Night Dream. It's a vapor trap influence track, or vaporwave influence track. And the sample at the beginning that you heard that was in Japanese is actually the scene from the first episode of Madoka Magica, or Puelli Magi Madoka Magica. Right after Madoka wakes up from the dream that she has. And it's right after she wakes up from that scene, and it's her just kind of talking about like how she just generally woke up, and it's supposed to have like the same kind of feeling to it as well. Okay, so fourth track is called Isolated Incident. For anybody that has been following my music for a bit, technically there's actually been three versions of this song. There was the original version that I did on the EP Isolated Incident that I released in lieu of the Black Lives Matter protests from the summer. And that's actually where a lot of these samples at the beginning come from, are samples from Black Lives Matter protests from all over the place. Um, Now, you can take it literally and have it specifically be about the Black Lives Matter protests. And it is in a way, and the specific, and it's supposed to be an ironic title in that sense, where this is an isolated incident that happens, in that sense, um, where this isn't something that we should expect, but we keep doing things to expect this to happen. At the same time, in context of the album, it's supposed to it's supposed to be the same way as like you waking up and you realizing that the same issues that you have when you fell asleep are still there. They don't go away. Um, the same issues that you have right before you go to bed, right before you go to sleep, are still going to be there in the morning, and that realization that you can't escape that, and how sometimes the worst nightmares that we have in life are the ones that we actually experience while awake, in that sense. But yeah, let me put that here as well. Okay. Um, Give me a second here. Okay, so like I'm typing up here. So the fifth track is called Rothko. It's a down tempo track. It has influences of like dream punk, down tempo, kind of like trip hop, kind of, but not exactly. Um, but anyway, it focuses on similar themes as the previous track did, and so if even though it focuses on similar feelings of like these are the things that you have to deal with, if it doesn't matter if you're asleep or if you woke up, these feelings still exist, and how that can lead to issues with depression. And that depression generally builds to a feeling of numbness, emptiness, constant feeling of just repeating a cycle or repetition, and eventually that feeling of not wanting to deal with those problems anymore, not feeling like you don't want to survive, like you don't want to live. And it's weird because it's that it's that point in the album. um Thanks. That's the thing. I feel a little bit bad because it's just like, hey, listen to my album. It's about depression and anxiety and other things and like these dark thoughts. But at the same time, it's also a generally chill album. It's a calming album as well. This was the way of me dealing with a lot of the things that I personally had to deal with over the last year, and it's just me kind of this album was a huge outlet for a lot of the feelings I had over the last year, and even longer than that. But just being able to put it into an actual creation. So, but yeah. So one other thing, the sample that you're actually hearing here at the end is actually Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. And it's actually the quote that he uses when he's leaving Earth, when he decides that he's just gonna live on the moon, pretty much. And that feeling of like, I can't handle this anymore, but same kind of feeling.
Their heaven is populated with ours. Perhaps the world is not made. Perhaps nothing is made. A clock without a craftsman. It's too late. Always has been. Always will be. Too late.
Um, Okay. So going over the last two tracks, well, this track and the last track. The last track was called Temporary Death. It represents that feeling of depression and anxiety dragging you down deeper to such a point that you feel like you're not living anymore. It really feels like you're just outside of the realm of that. And it also represents the feeling of trying to sleep when experiencing those thoughts and outer stimuli, and how that can invade your dreams to such a point where even sleep, even rest, even dreams can't be a safe haven for those feelings. Um, and the samples on that track actually come from the Vocaloid song "This Is the Peace and Happiness Committee" at the beginning. There's a middle part from Made in Abyss, and at the end it's actually from the track Just a Dream by Saiba97, who is a vapor trap artist, vaporwave artist. This track is actually the interlude track. It's called Deep Cycle, and it kind of represents the same feeling of trying to rest and sleep, but it's a lot more somber because you're kind of realizing that you kind of realize that you have to carry the weight of those emotions that you've been experiencing.
It's messy, and at first glance, it doesn't seem to make any sense. And it's hard to figure out. But sometimes, if you squint at it just right, everything lines up and it's the most perfect, beautiful, amazing thing.
Yeah, they're certainly not the easiest topics to deal with. And it's weird because I want people to listen to this album and not exactly I want people to listen to this album and think of it as a generally pretty chill album to listen to whenever. But I also want it to be an album that people can listen to if they are having issues with that. And I hope that it can help them in some sort of way, in the same way that working on the album helped me with a lot of those general feelings as well. Um, at least that's the way that I generally look at it. All right, so yeah, this track, like I was just mentioning here, is called "Regrets Revelations." It focuses on the continuation of the feelings of acceptance and these thoughts of loneliness, depression, anxiety, and other things. But it also for things that you may regret that you've done in your life that help cause the same feelings. Um, and the samples from that track are actually from Bitter Angels, from Chi Cheng, who was the former bassist of Deftones, as well as from BoJack Horseman as well. Um, and so now we're at the ninth track.
大丈夫大丈夫だよ私が耐えるからだから私が人間じゃなくなっちゃったらお願いまた私のところに
Okay. So sorry for just the random times of like talking and then not talking. So the ninth track is called Into the Abyss. This is when you've reached that lowest point of everything that we've been talking about throughout this album. And the purest form of those feelings that you've been experiencing in both dream and reality. What will you do when you reach down to that lowest point? Will you continue to let it drag you deeper down, even deeper than what you originally thought that lowest point, that abyss was, and dragging you even down deeper? Will you find clarity in these feelings now that you're down there and somehow find a way out of it through that? How will you accept the feelings as they are? And so yeah, the samples from the album, or the samples from this track more specifically, come from the anime Made in Abyss and Neon Genesis Evangelion as well. And I'm glad that you find it as like pretty chill music, Sky. And that's the thing. The reason I'm adding context to the album is because I don't want it to think that I'm just kind of creating like chill music for no reason. There's a lot of feeling that went into it compared to other chill music that I make. I took a nap with the stream on, and it was the best. Oh, jeez. That's good. At least in one way, because I started to think about this. It was just like this would be a good album just to fall asleep to. So yeah, the 10th track is actually a remix track. So the original track is a track called "Is It Weird I Listened to I'm God" by Clams Casinos when I lost my virginity. The original track is from a breakcore electronic artist by the name of Sewer Slut, and the artist herself is an artist that I really became drawn to over the last year. And this track especially I became very drawn to. Um, and while being a remix track, it also works as an epilogue to all the concepts that we talked about in the album and gives a final message of reflection and acceptance. You said it reminds you a little of Starfucker's music. That's fair. I know that you've actually been saying that a lot in regards to my music. I know that you said that originally with the track Always Summer as well, that it reminds you of their music. And I tried listening to some of their music after you mentioned that, and I need to listen to more because since you've been saying that, it's got me really curious. And there you have it. There is my newest album, Dream Escapes, in its entirety. And I nope, not gonna have that. Um, but yeah, that is Dream Escapes in its entirety, as well as me explaining the concepts around the album as well. And I hope that you all have liked that album. I am still generally shaking because I'm very nervous anytime that I show off any of my music, even though I'm equally in the realm of like, I'm going to promote myself as much as possible. I'm going to put myself out there and people are going to listen to this and be like, wow. And then I'm on the other side that's just like, this is terrible. Like, people are going to listen to us and think it's just, but I'm so glad that at least all of you really liked it. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it for what it is. And yeah, no. It feels good to finally have it out there. It feels good that we're done. Um, it it really is hard to get yourself into the mindset of promoting yourself. It's super super difficult to do. Um, and actually, hold on real quick. So yeah, and I'm actually super glad that I generally saved all this. And it's good that I'm actually talking about this because this specific video that I'm streaming right now on Twitch, I do plan on saving and uploading to YouTube as a or even doing like a highlight video on Twitch to kind of explain the elements of what went into the album for anybody that is curious. Um, because I do talk about it on the album like description as well. Like I talk about it all right there. And I also talk about it on the Bandcamp release as well. Um, but not everyone is going to spend the time to read that. But some people might literally spend the time listening to somebody talk about it, especially if they're listening to the album at the same time. Um, you've made some great music. Thank you. I am humbled. I am humbled by you saying that. Or I appreciate you saying that. Don't I I don't like putting or like I don't really like to um talk about it in a cocky way or anything. I like thinking that I've made something that's pretty good, but I don't want it to. But I also accept the fact that it might not be. I know a lot of people generally put themselves out there, and I know there's a lot of other music out there that's a lot better than mine, that conveys their points a lot better than mine. But I do think that what I've made here, at least for me, and compared to the stuff that I've made in the past, is a little bit more special, a little bit more personal, and from a production standpoint, a lot better. Oh my god, is the production on this so much better than anything that I've made on in the past, in my opinion. Um, um, I will say that a lot of it went through the help of a lot of people. Back in December, I actually talked to I actually put up a post on Facebook that was asking people if they wanted to listen to a few random tracks off of my album and tell me what they thought. And there were like maybe around like 10 to 15 people that offered to help. So I sent them all three tracks, completely random. I had them choose a number from 1 to 10, and I had them choose whichever track that they or whichever tracks, three tracks between 1 and 10 that they wanted. to give me advice on. And I took a lot of the criticism and a lot of the comments on certain kinds of things from those notes and from those comments to really help kind of fine tune the album before I started like doing like final masterings and stuff like that and putting out like the actual master files for it and everything. So um I don't think that this album would have came out nearly as good if it wasn't for the people that helped me kind of fine tune it, because it's one thing to listen to an album constantly yourself. It's another thing for other people to listen to it as well and put in their input. Especially if you're trying to make it like why I mentioned this on my Bandcamp as well. Like I do make music for me, but I also appreciate it if other people listen to it too. And I want people that I want to make music that people will want to listen to, even if I am making that music for me. Um, I want it to be something that at least sounds pleasing to other people. So it's it was good to get that outside input instead of just completely going on what I generally was thinking. Um, and it helped dial things back. It helped I kind of add things to certain tracks and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to thank all the people that did that as well. Um, so yeah,